We're supposed to find the sine of the inverse sine of 5/13 minus the inverse cosine of minus 8/17. And what we realize is that this is really nothing more than just two angles, alpha and beta. So we're finding the sine of alpha minus beta, and that formula is sine alpha cosine beta minus cosine alpha sine beta. So we have two angles we're looking for, angle alpha and angle beta. Alpha we get from the inverse sine of 5/13. We remember that inverse sine is defined on the right half, minus pi over 2 to pi over 2. And so since this ratio is positive, alpha is going to be in the first quadrant. So let's pull it out and look at it a little more closely. The sine is 5/13. That means that the opposite of alpha is 5. The hypotenuse is 13. And using the Pythagorean theorem, we'd wind up with 12 for the adjacent side. So the sine of alpha, we already know, is 5/13. The cosine of alpha is 12/13. Now beta, we know that the cosine is minus 8/17. Cosine, inverse cosine, is defined over the top half. So we're looking at this angle here in the second quadrant because we have a negative ratio where that's between the first and second quadrants. The cosine is negative in the second. So again, if we pull this triangle out, make it a bit bigger so we can label it a bit more clearly, this would be the reference angle for beta. And the adjacent side would be minus 8. I should say the x coordinate of that dot would be minus 8. The actual side of the triangle would be 8. And the hypotenuse is 17. We would use the Pythagorean theorem to find the other side, and it would turn out to be $15. We need the sine of beta and the cosine of beta. The sine in the second quadrant is positive, so the sine will be 15/17. The cosine in the second quadrant is negative, but we already knew that the cosine was minus 8/17. So now using this formula, we'll find then that the sine of alpha minus beta will be sine alpha 5/13 times cosine beta. Cosine beta is minus 8/17 minus cosine alpha. Cosine alpha is 12/13 sine beta, and sine beta is 15/17. So this value then will be negative 220 over 221.